What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today it's time to do the Nightfall. We've got the Undying Mind Nightfall, so we're going to walk you through it. We're going to show you the loot that we got on all three of our characters, and of course we're going to talk about things that worked, things that didn't work, and just the fun that we ended up having. Now here we are in the Nightfall, and you know from seeing my previous Undying Mind videos that I like to do the battle from here. I like the battle over here. I feel like there's more spots to run and hide as opposed to other areas. Of course, I'm on a Defender Titan, and boom, it's bubble time. There's a bubble right here. Wait, we lost somebody. Wait, we lost two people. Pooge, Devil, what do you do? The bubble is right here. It's right behind you. It's not even a step behind you guys. Look at where you died and look at where the bubble is. What are you doing? What game are you playing? What game are you playing? Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. We're all going to learn and we're going to grow from this experience, and we are not going to let it deter us. We will not let it deter us. That was, oh my goodness, that was so much fun whenever it was live happening. Oh my goodness, I was clowning both of them. I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing? And then of course I jump up in the air and throw my grenade in my Titan. He's just floating back down and I get absolutely demolished. So that was a good time. But we're actually going to continue this run on my Titan. And we also have a second Titan and a Hunter with a tether. So there are going to be orbs like crazy. In fact, we weren't really going for a quick kill right here. We were having so much fun with just popping our bubbles over and over and over again. So you're definitely going to see that. Now let's talk about some of the stuff that's actually going on in the Nightfall, instead of just the goofiness that we were doing. You know, trying to just have our own little fun in Destiny while we're getting some legit loot. And Nightfalls are legitimate loot. I can tell you that I ran through this with my characters, and all of them except for one ended up being on the reward screen at 386 light, one went in at 385 light, and all of my loot was at least 387 light. So definitely, please definitely do your Nightfalls, especially if you're right around that 385 light and you're trying to just get that little bit of an edge. Get that little bit of an edge to get your light up towards 400 for the heart rate. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get it much higher than 387. My Titan, who is not even raided, not even set a single foot in the raid, is literally one light point away from 387 light. He's like 386 and 9/10 light if I have on the right gear. So Nightfalls are definitely legit avenues to get in-game quality gear, and that's not something that we've had. We haven't had that the entirety of the Taken King. It just wasn't the case. With the Rise of Iron, Bungie went back to the drawing board apparently, and Nightfalls will get you end-game quality gear. I can only hope that it goes up to 400 and it doesn't stop at 395 for some reason. I can only hope, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess next week? Though we're not really going to be able to tell exactly next week because we won't have our characters up that high just yet, but we'll be able to see in the coming weeks for sure. So the Nightfall this week, as you can already see, it is the Undying Mind, and we've got match game on. So with match game, what that means is you're going to want to deal like damage if there's a shield up. So for pretty much everything that was going on, Void seemed to be the element that we saw the most. I do not recall seeing any fire shields at all. I saw Void shields for sure. I saw some Void witches. Of course, there are Void Minotaurs and Praetorians. You see those things all over the place. So Void, it's going to be your best friend. Sometimes if you get the Taken, you might see those Cabal Taken enemies, and they do have an arc shield. But overall, Void's going to do you a world of justice, especially here whenever it just gets to be crazy. And I do have my Dark Drinker on. I really like that. If you've got a Void Walker, obviously throwing a Nova Bomb down there, or if you've got your Tether up, go ahead and throw that. Just stun all the enemies, lock them down, and generate tons and tons and tons of orbs. A sword just works so well right there because everything is really close quarters. So one other thing to keep in mind is we have Specialist on, and what that means is your special weapon's going to deal out bonus damage while your primary and heavy weapons are going to deal out reduced damage. So because of that, I have on the Chaos Dogma. Originally I was using the Outbreak Prime, but because of the reduced damage and the fact that each single bullet of a pulse rifle is weaker and we're not facing fallen enemies, I felt like the Chaos Dogma was going to be a better choice because it just hits harder. with every single bullet it actually hits harder. So I felt like this was a good choice, and what that did was it actually freed up my exotic slot so I could put on the Dark Drinker. So if you've got a scout rifle, go ahead and use it. I always like to put on a scout rifle for sure whenever you're doing some high-tiered gameplay like this, because especially if you've got Specialist on and your primary weapon is dealing out reduced damage, why make yourself even weaker? And then for your exotic, you can do whatever you pretty much want. Telesto would be really nice because with Specialist on, we also have Airborne on. And with Airborne, you deal out increased damage whenever you're in the air. And that just works out so good with the Telesto. Telesto, Specialist, and Voidburn, and Airborne is like the sickest combination ever. Because you fire out your bolts, you go ahead and then jump in the air whenever they're exploding, and you just deal out massive damage to the enemy. Now, though you don't have Voidburn on, you still do have at least Specialist and the Airborne modifier, so you could use those to your advantage. Of course, at the boss, a sniper rifle is just a little bit better, because what happens is if you shoot off the Telesto from a really far range, you're going to be missing some of your shots. Some of your shots are going to be hitting that shield, some of the shots will explode in the shield, and you'll just get those immune markers, and you don't really want that. You want to be hitting the boss as much as possible. So I like to be over here on this side of the strike, like I said, and the only thing you really need to worry about is whenever those two big spawns come in. So anytime I can see them starting to come in, I'm like, does anybody have their tether up? Anybody have their Nova Bomb up? Any of those things ready? If not, just pull out the sword and start spinning away and killing things. Now, we had tether that time, we did a bunch of sword spins, we generated a lot of orbs, we've got bubbles for days, we just have bubbles on top of bubbles on top of bubbles, because not only am I generating 2 orbs every time I pop a bubble, I also have the perk on where whenever my bubble takes damage, I gain 3 additional orbs. So I've really come to like that in general PvE gameplay, not for stuff like the raid, not for stuff like the raid where you need to damage bosses. For that, Bastion and Illuminated is still the best combination, but for general PvE gameplay, I like this because it lets my teammates gain their supers all that much faster, and it's just really nice to do that. Now here we are finishing up this particular strike, and 0 skeleton keys for me. 0 skeleton keys the entire time. In fact, I believe in all 9 of our chances here with all 3 of our characters, we had 1 skeleton key drop. I got 0 exotic Ingrams as well, so my 3 of coins didn't exactly kick in either. Now what you can see right here is I'm just swapping around my gear just to make sure my light is as high as it possibly can be by the time we get to the end game reward screen. Just making sure my light's as high as possible for whenever those end game rewards pop up. I believe that time Devil actually got the skeleton key. He was the only one that got one, and he ended up getting the Titan mark that I'm actually wearing right there. So as far as our Nightfall rewards go, what are we gonna get? Alright, we got an exotic. So Pooj gets 20 strange coins there. I got a 388 Fourth Horseman, there we go. And Devil ended up getting a 388 Continental. So there we go, that's some infusion fuel for sure. 388 infusion fuel, we're putting that right into my sniper rifle, because we're going to need that for the raid. Moving on to our Warlock, for Nightfall number 2, what do we end up getting? Well, there's Devil getting himself an exotic, a 388 exotic right there. Nice. I got a 387 sidearm, again infusion fuel. And Pooj... Pooj got 11 3 of coins. So Pooj got 3 of coins and strange coins, the only person who legitimately needed actual high-end light gear. 3 of coins, strange coins. Anyway, on our final Nightfall, the one with the Hunter, we end up, Devil gets himself a Ghost, a 387 Ghost, I'm sure that was welcomed, and I got a 387 Scout Rifle, which I promptly put into my Chaos Dogma. Now the rolls that I actually got on that Scout are pretty cool PvE rolls for sure, but I'm like, come on man, I gotta put it into my Chaos Dogma, which is gonna get a lot more use in PvE, especially on raid bosses. So those were my Nightfalls. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smack that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Nightfall, and I'll see you around in Destiny. Pooj, all the coins. All the coins.